I have to say, you know, I didn't know what used to happen to Liz when I played T-Bag. I developed it over time. I'd say the first season was the best written of the whole 4 seasons. I can't do that anymore. I think the first season, and I think you all probably agree, the first season was the best written of the 4, and some of the best written storytelling, whether it was film or television, whatever, ever, anytime, because, you know, then when you first watch it, you had to wait a week. Now you can just binge on it. So that was great. I think for T-Bag, the second season was amazing because when I remember my family, my little boy lived in LA, and I would go home every 2 weeks from Chicago. And there was a guy who came up to me at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, and it was the morning after the episode where we had caught the prison guard, and we have to, T-Bag wanted to kill him, and the other guys wanted to just hold him. It was like, you gotta kill this guy. If we don't kill him, he's gonna tell about the hole in the wall behind the toilet. And T-Bag takes out his wallet. I don't know if you remember this. He pulls out these pictures of his daughter. And the director, huh? Yeah, and she was in a prom dress, right? And the, can we close that door? Is that possible? Yo, Mr. Guard over there. So the director knew that I started doing this thing with my tongue. And the reason I started doing that thing with the tongue, by the way, is because up to that point, I had never grown facial hair. I didn't have whiskers. And it just took me the longest damn time to get used to having what we call crumb catchers on my face. So he said, what if you like licked the picture of the girl? And I was like, no, that's disgusting. I mean, why would I want to? He said, try it. And at first I said no, and I went, she didn't come home that night, did she? And I was like doing the thing where I started licking. And it was this girl, it was this teenage girl in a prom dress, and it was like one of the few moments where Fox said, okay, he's playing a pedophile, and we got once in a while let the pedophilia thing come out. And she really wasn't that young. She was like 16, 17 years old. This guy came up to me the next morning. Sorry, I tell long stories. This guy came up to me at the airport, and he said, this was like a matter of weeks, right? Because this show just exploded. And it had gone from people going, you know, you look like that guy from Prison Break, to, and then it would go to your T-Bag, to your Robert Knepper. I mean, I'll never forget the first time somebody went, sure, Robert, let me just see if that coat's in your size, and I'll go in the back and I'll come back out again. It was a very quick. I've been acting for 20-some years before that show came out. This guy didn't even do any of that. I'm checking in at the counter. He walks by me and he goes, and I went, and he comes over to me and he says, so I'm watching this episode last night where you pulled the picture out of the wallet and you have the picture of the girl in the prom dress and you're licking the girl, and he looks at the television while he's watching the show and he goes, I hate that fucker. I hate him, I want to kill that son of a bitch. And his 16-year-old son was sitting there and turned to his dad, trying to calm his dad down, and said, Dad, shh, he's just acting. He's just acting. He says, I know, but I still want to kill the son of a bitch. To go from that first season of people hating me. I was just shooting a film in Toronto, and my wife and I were eating at a sushi restaurant, and the sweet waitress came up to me, and she says, you know, it's really hard for me not to spit on you right now. But what I loved about the second season in particular was, all my mail went from, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, to, I really hate you, I still hate you, I want you dead, but I understand this character a lot more. And that's the genius of those writers, to be able to take that malevolent character and to understand what made him do that, which is the greatest lesson for an actor, because you can never, if you're with good writers, you can never judge a character.
You can actually see the reason in breakout games.
Yeah.
Follow up on to that, where you actually go back to your mother.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember my mother was on a porch, she was like an invalid. She didn't look anything like the mother in Prison Break, but it didn't matter because it was the idea that he cared so much about. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to make a career out of playing the disenfranchised, but I do feel for people that I was a little kid growing up. I respected my parents. I didn't do really anything that terrible, but I understood people. And then as you get older, you look at these poor sons of bitches that are in prison. And I don't look. If they killed somebody, forget it. You're not going to have my sympathy, but I empathize with you. I can feel for you and go, wow. And they make for very, very fascinating characters.